focus on property investment here in Queensland. We're going to talk about high-level suburbs, SMSF strategies, general property investment strategies also, and we're going to touch on the recent budget changes as well. So this is our high-level topics for today. I've got my BA team also here attending. Paris is also here, and we work together in all these property deals. He will be answering the questions on the chat, but we will have verbal questions at the end of the session for the next 40-45 minutes. I'm going to keep talking. There is a lot of content in there, educational content. So I'll keep talking, but if you've got any questions, you can certainly put in the chat. In the last 12 months, I have seen a lot of people losing $50,000 to $100,000, not because the market has gone down. As you all know, the market has in fact gone up, but people have still lost money, mainly because of two major reasons. Okay, the first major reason is not taking action and delaying property decisions. They are not doing anything. They are sitting in their couch, watching Netflix and losing money. The second major reason is investing in the wrong location, wrong property type, or even wrong property. Okay, without seeing the value. Not all that shines is gold. People go for shiny, newer properties which does not have greater value. We focus on big land which appreciates, building depreciates. We will talk about that in few more minutes. What are the pros and cons? Okay, I want to give one example where I've had a client who came to me in 2023, 2024. He said, Anand, I bought a property for 900,000 in 2021, and now it is 1.5 million. I have made 50% profit. But I did not tell him that, hey, client, if you had come to me in 2021 with 900,000, I would have bought 300,000 properties, and the value of each property would be 900,000. I would have made 1.5 into 2.7 million. Okay, so we want to share here locations where we can buy. So that is why we are here for today, for the next 40-45 minutes, where we can buy, how we can buy, and some high level strategies. Okay, so what you can see in the screen. Hey guys, can you all see me and hear me properly? I didn't ask that question. You can type in the chat box yes or no.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, Anand bhai, barabar.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so we are award winners. You can see those screens. And as I said, we are not here to pitch any sales or anything. We want to have some really informational session. Okay, tonight's agenda. Okay, before I go to the agenda, I just want to know how many of you here are feeling confused about where to invest. How many of you are unsure if this is the right time to buy? Just put yes or no in the chat box. How many of you are unsure where to buy? How many of you are unsure if this is the right time to buy? Okay, good. I can see a lot of unsure. Yes, very good. So today, after this session, you will have clarity on where to invest, whether to invest now or not, how to build them all in the next 40 minutes. So this is the agenda. I'm not going to read each and every one, everything, whatever you can see in the screen, but I'll quickly go through. We will go through Queensland property investment opportunities. I'm going to talk about growth growth data across the states. When I'm talking about where to invest, I also want to talk about where it is not that great to invest. I won't say it is a bad investment. I also want to talk about where it is not that great. So we, of course, the main focus here is Brisbane Olympics. I'm going to talk about the direct impact on Brisbane Olympics, and we're going to touch up on SMSF strategies and some budget. And throughout the session, I'm going to talk about buy now or waiting. What is the real cost of hesitation buying? Okay, so that is tonight's agenda. Why Queensland? Why now? Okay, lot of investors fail or are not successful because of confusion. Okay, so by choosing a property, okay, has anyone here experienced while choosing a property? Hey, can I buy this property? Oh, can I buy a property in this area? I am 110% sure that there are many here that they are confused whether to buy here or not. Yes or no? Chat box, please. Okay, so a lot of people here are confused. Okay, so that is where we want to clear that confusion, because there is a lot of noise in the last 2-3 months because of the interest rate, because of the budget changes, negative gearing. The best example I can see here, a lot of people who are from our South Asian, Southeast Asia, Indian clients. So I'm going to take cricket as an example. India won the recent Cricket World Cup, right? Sanju Samson, who was instrumental in winning the World Cup, he was in a very bad form, right? And then the last 2-3 games, he was really great, and in fact, he won the World Cup for us. And so the one of the after the World Cup, one of the interviewer, he said, "Hey, what happened? What did you do?" So what he said was his coach told him to remove himself from all the social media, all the noise, don't read the news, and he was only focusing on the game himself. So similarly, there is a lot of noise here. So we want to focus on our goal. We want to focus on our investments, how we can build our portfolio, how we can become wealthy. So everyone nowadays is thinking about capital gains tax, interest rates, recession, job losses. Yes or no? I'm sure these are all going in our head. I think there is a lot of noise. I repeat this again and again. There is a lot of noise. We should just clear those noise and focus on fundamentals. And I'm very surprised here that no one here is talking about the big elephant in the room, which is Brisbane Olympics. Okay, the Brisbane Olympics is once in a lifetime generational opportunity. If you want to invest, where would you invest today? This is Brisbane Olympics. Why is not people talking about those things? So that is a no-brainer. That why Queensland? Why now? Okay, population surge. We are 100,000 people are moving into Queensland year on year. The Queensland is one state which is the fastest growing state. I cannot scream about this enough. Right, infrastructure boom. We've got $160 billion already committed in infrastructure all the way to 2032. Right? And it is, in fact, that is why it is impacting the pressure on the property prices. People say, "Oh, Queensland has already grown." Yes, it has grown, but there are other states also that has grown, which I will talk about in the next slide. And last but not the least, affordability. Brisbane's medium is 30 to 40% below Sydney. I have got clients who are moving from Sydney. They're selling their $2.5 million and investing here in Gold Coast or Sunshine Coast for $1.5 million, right? And the lifestyle. They still have those jobs. Here, Queensland has got fantastic job opportunities, which we will be discussing very soon. Okay. Right. So this is some growth data that I want to share before we can go into much more detail about that. Okay, so I've picked some, of course, data around Queensland, Victoria, Tasmania, and New South Wales, as you can see. Right. This is where I'm going to say which is good and which is not that great. Okay. Right. We want to invest in property where there is sustainable growth, and not only sustainable property growth but also sustainable rental income. So where will we get sustainable rental income? Wherever there is good schools, wherever there is good transport, where there is good hospital, good amenities. Right. One big example I want to give is in Brisbane. We had the 2014 G20 summit where we had all the leaders over the world came in, and no one knows, but that some areas of Brisbane, I'll tell you, South Brisbane, South Bank, those areas between 2013 and 2016 grew 110%, right? Because of the amenities. Someone in the chat said that, hey, this is a small event. No, G20 Olympics is a big event. G20 is a small event. Even for a small event like G20, the prices around that grew 120, 110%. Why? Because of the amenities. People want good transport, good amenities, good infrastructure, and that will in fact impact on the jobs also. Right. So example here, I in fact in the graphs you are seeing here, I have not even put Olympics budgets, Olympic projects, whatever these projects here. Can someone mute the mic, please? Please, everyone, please mute. Um, Right. So I have not even put data, the budgets or the major projects for Olympics. These are business as usual projects. In Queensland alone, there is 3 new hospitals coming. Tasmania, 0 hospitals. In Tasmania, I know there is a lot of talks going on investing in Tasmania because of data center project and all that. We are talking hundreds of jobs in Tasmania. In contrast, in Queensland, we are talking thousands and thousands of jobs. We are talking about 15 to 20 schools in Queensland. In Tasmania, we're talking 2 to 3 schools. Apart from 3 new hospitals in Queensland, there are significant expansion of existing hospitals. We're talking about 300 to 500 million dollars worth of expansion, right? So and whenever I recommend our investors to invest in property, we look at major players, major retailers. Example, like government is a major retailer who will be investing in hospitals or school. Apart from that, private retailers like Costco, like Woolworths or Coles or IKEA. So we follow them. Bunnings. So they invest millions and millions of dollars in their research where there is population growth, and we are seeing that Costco, Bunnings, there is a lot of investment happening in Queensland. So I just want to give this context before we go ahead on this one. Okay, moving to the next slide. Okay, direct Olympic impact. Okay, where smart money is moving. So these are the areas where there is going to be direct impact. They are all near to the city or Gold Coast main areas, right? So Hurston, Spring Hill, Newstead, they are all near to the stadium. We are expecting entry points from 850,000 onwards. We are expecting 50%, 15% growth year on year for the next 3 to 5 years. Hamilton, Dutton Park, East Brisbane, Athletes Village, 12% growth. Carindale, Coopru, little bit far away, 10% growth. Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast, I cannot scream enough. Okay, again, I repeat, no one is talking about Olympics now, but by 2030, everyone will be talking. and like your last minute exam preparation. When we were in school, tomorrow is the exam. Oh, now we will start looking at preparation, or 2 days before. That is how people will jump into property by 2030, but by then it will be too late. Property prices would have already been gone up. So this is the time, is what I feel, to buy in the right locations. Again, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, areas like Southport, Ashmore, Sunshine Coast, Maroochydore is a major CBD happening there. If someone is physically can go there and have a look, that is where you will know what is happening in Sunshine Coast. And by the way, these are all units. Huh? I'm not talking about houses yet. We will go to houses very soon. So, by not taking action is safe, but it is expensive. Right. So you need to decide if you want to be in your comfort zone, sitting in the couch watching Netflix, or you want to be wealthy, not doing anything. Your money, because of inflation, will eat all your savings. There is no other investment here other than property. Like if we take India for an example, there is a huge stock market investment. There is SIPs, there is term deposit, which pays you 8%, 9%, 7% interest. Here, interest rates, term deposit is 3%, 4%, maximum you get 5%, right? So I know for sure that there is going to be a major surge in demand around 2029, 2030 in Queensland. Before that happens, we need to accumulate as much as possible. So strategy here, units. I know a lot of people just shy away or take back. Oh no, units are not that great investment. It won't grow. There is no capital growth. That is a myth. Okay, these areas, for example, I bought a property for my investor 2 years ago in Gold Coast, two-bedroom unit for 650,000. The reason I bought was it was a strategy. It was not just going and buy a property. He said his son, 16 or 17 years old, they live in Sydney. The son got an admission in Gold Coast. He said, Anand, what do I do? I said, let's buy a unit there. So what we did was we bought a unit for 650,000, two-bedroom, two-bathroom. Son lives in one bedroom. Other bedroom, he is renting it to two students, $300 per week per student, $600 he gets rent, and he does not have to pay rent for his son also. Right. So that is it. And now that property is worth 800, 830,000. So there is capital growth, he's saving money. So we can do all those strategies. And plus, holiday home, that is becoming like, especially in Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast, Airbnb, right? For a 700,000 property, you can get anywhere between 60 to $65,000 per annum net. So around $5,000 or 1,200 per week rent you can get by Airbnb. And we are working with a lot of investors on those kind of strategies also. Right. So Brisbane, these are the direct impact due to Brisbane Olympics. Quickly, budget update. You all know, you're all very smart investors. You all know what has changed due to budget. So I'm not going to go through all that, but I'm going to focus on what are the possible impacts. Existing, if I take negative gearing for an example, existing investors are very less likely to sell their investment property, because if they sell their property, or their negative gearing benefits will vanish. So this is going to tighten the supply. Okay, rental supply also will shrink. Why? Why? Because lot of investors now will think, oh, I don't have the incentive to buy investment property. They do not understand that, hey, we are investing property for capital growth, right? So there will be little bit of shortage in the rental supply, and we are expecting rent to rise further. And people who are buying now, of course, there is no negative gearing, right? So they will pass on those costs to the renters also. That is another reason rent will increase. New builds are the only ones that, of course, you can do negative gearing. So new build price are going to increase. The best example is in 2022-23 when the first home, the new builders grant came, right? So it was $25,000, right? People, the builders just jacked up the price. Investors were thinking, oh, I am getting $25,000, but they didn't realize that the builders have already increased the price, right? So basically that is what I'm trying to say. Look at your strategy, look at what you want to achieve out of your investment property, make some major goals, right, which we will discuss in the next few minutes. There is no changes to the commercial property, so there will be a lot of investments in commercial property, and definitely SMSF. SMSF is a great investment vehicle. 2 years ago, I was telling everyone that every third investor that I am getting is an in SMSF investor. But now, almost everyone is buying a property on SMSF. So the demand for investment property is not going to reduce, right? So when the demand is not going to reduce, prices are only going to increase, is what I feel. Next, capital gains tax impact long-term investors in the market. They are not going to do any flipping nowadays. Flipping is not an incentive anymore, right? Investors will hold the property longer and longer. So again, that is less supply, but more demand. In Queensland, as I have already told you, there's 100,000 people coming. We are not building so many houses. So the demand is so much higher than the supply. So the prices, the pressure is going to be on the prices, definitely. And if you follow Sir Warren Buffett, he said, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. Okay, so just quickly, these are the budget. And the last but not the least, I want to say that these rules that the government has put can be reversed after the next election also. And when that is reversed, you know what will happen. It will have a surge of investors back on the market, and the prices will increase also. So before that, just accumulate as much as possible. That is why I've said every month of hesitation will cost you more money. Okay. So what strategies can you use in this kind of a scenario post budget? Like if you are a first time investor, focus on high growth property, right? Direct, look at areas where there is direct impact to Olympics, starting from 800,000. If you are lucky, you can get some properties from 700,000 onwards. Target properties with minimum out of pocket, which is still highly possible in this market, which I've already explained, examples of Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast. And I again repeat, lock in a property before the competition surges in the next 2-3 months is very crucial. There are a lot of investors in the sidelines because of the noise, because they all think that market is going to crash, so they are all waiting. Okay, 2-3 months I will wait, I won't do anything. But there is nothing going to happen. In fact, the prices only are going to increase. We attended an auction on Thursday night last week after the budget. There were 23 groups in the auction. There are 7 to 8 bidders. That is how it is. We cannot see any decrease in the demand. There is only decrease in the supply. If you are an existing investor, please do not sell. Retain your negative gearing benefits. There are some strategies in place where you can increase your cash flow if you are looking to buy more investment properties. And the existing properties now are more valuable. Okay, use equity to acquire properties in a one per 12 months is definite. You have to keep buying properties, at least one in every 12 months, and it is highly possible. Commercial property is an option. If you are bent on negative gearing benefits, it is still available for you. Rental increases highly expected. So if you are worried about, I'm not getting negative gearing incentive, then rent will increase. It may not increase in a fortnight or in overnight, but in the next few months we are expecting rental increases. Buying under trust options is also a strategy. SMSF investor, great. It remains no impact to SMSF. There is no tax changes to SMSF. It is a fantastic tool to accumulate wealth, and demand is going to increase for SMSF now. Already we are already seeing a lot of inquiries from my existing clients who want to set up and buy under SMSF. So again, I repeat, act now before the competition intensifies. And I repeat, from July, August onwards, we are expecting demand to increase again. Okay, I'll quickly talk about the new build and established properties, right? This is a real example. I don't know whether you can see the screen clearly, but I will explain. So this is a property advertised for 1.78 million, 1078, approximately 1.1 million for a land and a house package in Logan Reserve. And in the same area, a property has been sold for 960,000. In fact, it is got 5 bedroom, 2 bathroom. This one is 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom. Similar, that is 483. This is 400 square meter block. There is $120,000 difference. I'm not saying that don't buy a new build property. What I'm trying to say is do your numbers on a standard 422 brand new home, negative gearing, depreciation, everything is $4,000 to $5,000 per year. So do your numbers. If you like just to sacrifice $4,000 to $5,000, you are sacrificing capital growth up to 120,000. That is the difference we are talking about. So in this scenario where only new build negative gearing is available, just don't jump into that without looking at your strategy, doing your numbers. Okay. Okay, so say again, I just want to write here saying that the budget hasn't changed any fundamentals. Okay, established properties in high growth corridors remain the smartest way to increase wealth for serious investors. Okay, if you are looking for short term growth, 3 months, 6 months, I want to make 100,000, then I will say it is not for you. Property is for long-term investors, at least 3 to 5 years, if not 10, 20 years. Okay, and that is how we can increase our wealth, and that is the way to go, right? Again, it's the same thing, but same example, right? What are the pros and cons of new build and established property? You all know that. You can read whatever I've written in the screen. Just conscious of time because I want to spend more time on the high growth suburbs that we want to discuss. If you have got more questions on the new build established property, contact me or Paras separately. Happy to answer those questions. Right. Now, interesting part of the webinar, high growth suburbs. I have divided the high growth suburbs into three parts, right? First part is more about Brisbane Metro, and they are still affordable. People who are thinking Brisbane has grown, if it won't grow anymore, that is a myth. You are in the wrong side of the coin or wrong side of the highway, if I want to mention. So the first area, Ipswich to Toowoomba corridor, I cannot again scream enough that Ipswich to Toowoomba corridor is very similar to the Logan to Gold Coast corridor that I was talking to a lot of my investors in 2021, 22. A lot of investors bought property through my recommendation, have made money in that growth corridor in those 1, 2 years. Similarly, we are looking at Ipswich to Toowoomba corridor now. Special suburbs like Marburg, Gatton, Ladley. So these areas, entry points are from 700,000 onwards. We are expecting projection or capital growth of 11% per annum for the next 3 to 5 years. Population surge, road upgrades, there is major factories coming here. We can entry points are from 800,000. These are all houses, by the way, not units. We are expecting 12% growth year on year for the next 3 to 5 years. It is an Olympic linked infrastructure. Moreton Bay is getting 2 stadiums in for Olympics, and there is a major train line already started. It is a Olympic delivery also from Moreton Bay, that is Caboolture area, all the way to Sunshine Coast. It's a $5 billion of investment already committed in the last year's budget. So definitely, this corridor, in fact, 12% whatever I put is very less conservative. We are expecting more than 12%. Now we come to southern Brisbane, Newpeak to Bordershead. It is proximity to Gold Coast as well. It's a major development happening. It is a priority development area. Also, there is new schools happening. I'm talking from a past experience perspective. New rail line also proposed from Salisbury all the way to Bordershead, and popular projected population growth is very high. Capital growth, I have put 10%. You may think, Anand, why have you put 10 less than the other Ipswich or Moreton Bay? Because of a lot of development happening, new houses coming there. That is why growth is less, but you can get newer properties. Newer means I'm not talking about new build, established 1 or 2 years property. All these areas 10 to 12% growth year on year for next 5 years, definite, starting from 700,000. So opportunity, this is your opportunity cost, right? Every year you do nothing and watch Netflix in your lounge room, it is costing you $70,000. That is what I want you all to think. So every 6 months, $35,000. That is what you are losing. That is the opportunity cost. Now we'll talk about SMSF quickly. How many? Okay, in chat box, how many have an SMSF setup, or how many are looking to set up SMSF? Yes, no. Yes means SMSF setup or looking. No means not thinking, not set up. Please, chat box. Okay. So, Lord, it is a combination of yes and no, which is okay, very good. So, if you need more advice on SMSF, you have to talk to your accountant. We are not here to provide financial advice, but it is a very good investment vehicle. from an investment perspective, right? So again, I want to focus more time on the growth suburbs. So have a look at the SMSF. Any questions, you can call me later or call Paras or put in your chat box any question. We are happy to answer. So yeah, it's got tax benefits, look at the cash flow, minimum balance required, and all that. Okay, so it is a powerful vehicle for property investment. I'm going to the next slide. Um, so it's a simple comparison of SMSF industry fund versus SMSF industry fund. In 20 years you will have 3 million. In 20 years SMSF you will have $8 million. So that is the difference that we are talking about with between industry super fund and SMSF. How strategy, of course, that is a long discussion we need to have with along with your accountant or your financial advisor, whoever it is, and we can work with your mortgage broker also. But even if you don't require our help, you can work with your accountant and definitely achieve this. And the assumption we have made in this graph is an investor buying one property every 3 years, which is highly achievable. If I say that, hey, buy property in SMSF every 6 months, then that is impossible or not achievable. But this is every 3 years only, which I am sure you all can do it. And that is how this 8 million has come into play. Right now, the next part two of high growth suburbs, I call this regional Queensland powerhouses. Right, these are strategies for lifestyle, cash flow, and of course high growth also. Harvey Bay, I cannot stress this enough. There is a lot of investments happening in Harvey Bay. $8 billion committed only on train building factory. There is 4,000 jobs expected in the next few years just in Harvey Bay, just on that train building factory alone. There is hospital happening, $400 million on the hospital, 1 billion on the Gympie bypass. These are just some of the projects I'm talking about. If I compare this with say Tasmania, for example, there is nothing much happening. We're talking hundreds of jobs. Here we are talking thousands of jobs. And the bonus in Harvey Bay is tourism and Airbnb. That $65,000 I told just a few minutes ago is highly achievable for a standard 422 from 700,000 onwards. Capital growth 12% per annum year on year. It is a fastest growing lifestyle, and families are living there too. Owner occupiers are moving there, and of course new jobs we've already spoken about. There are some suburbs that I have put, Skarnes, Orangan, those areas are all near surrounding the Harvey Bay. The next one is South Burnett region. So Fraser Coast region is where the Harvey Bay and all that is. South Burnett region, suburbs like Kingaroy, Bondi. So entry from 500,000 onwards we are buying there. Capital growth 15%. I usually don't put 15%. My maximum is 12%. Okay, I'm always conservative. I'm old school, but 15% I've put because I'm highly confident. Is very much undervalued. Is again a lifestyle as well. Agriculture also. We've started to buy in Kingaroy from the last 18 months, 2 years onwards, and all those properties that we bought performing well. We can still buy from 500,000 onwards. Supply there is zero. If you call tomorrow, pick up your phone, call a couple of agents in Kingaroy, hey, have you got any rental property? They will say no. That is how the supply is. The demand is super high. We are not talking about some IT jobs or anything. Huh? We're talking about construction. We're talking about engineering jobs. We're talking about health, tourism. There's a whole economic cycle. One member of the family gets a job in construction. He is not going to go there alone. He will take four other people along with his pets in that area for schools. It's a whole cycle. The whole family goes there. So, and the growth in Sunshine Coast is an example, right? The next in line is Harvey Bay. Again, as I said, Fraser Coast region, Sunshine Coast, you can't get anything under $1 million. Now, Harvey Bay is the next Sunshine Coast. Right, and last but not the least, I want to talk about is Gympie. Gympie strategic location, entry from 650,000 onwards. Again, capital growth 15% plus. We can expect a very strategic midpoint between Sunshine Coast and Fraser Coast, just 30 minutes from Noosa. Yeah, Noosa is a part of Sunshine Coast. You cannot get anything under $2 million in Noosa. Okay, so people who want to have access to the beach, who want to have access to the lifestyle, are all moving to Gympie. Okay, because there are jobs also. So that is the population growth corridor and the ripple effect we want to call. Right, again, 10 to 15% year on year, next 5 years, opportunity cost. These areas don't, a lot of people even don't know. They call me, Anand, a few months ago, one client called, Anand, hey, you told me Kingaroy that day. Hey, I invested in Kingaroy. It's making money. So that's a lot of people don't even, people just look at the noise. Forums, right? These are all well researched areas, and you can definitely go and invest. Next slide, the blueprint to building wealth. Have a budget of 500 to 750 cash flow positive assets. That is your foundation. Have a real good growth quality property. Don't look at cheap areas, right? If you tell me, Anand, I have got a budget of 300,000, buy me a property, I can easily buy you a property. But is it sustainable rental income? Is it sustainable capital growth? What is the risk profile? That is so cash flow, asset property, good fundamentals. That is your foundation. Leverage from those properties and buy another property, at least one every month, which I've already mentioned. Diversify, optimize. How you can optimize is, you can buy in SMSF, buy in trust. Look at those tax efficiency you can minimize, and easily you can buy 4 to 5 properties in 5 years and create $100,000 passive income. I'm touching this only on a high level basis. If you want more information, happy to talk about this in detail. I'm trying to cover whatever I can in the 40-45 minutes. I have got so these are our purpose, values, and mission, right? See, we bought 500 plus properties. So you can imagine how many properties we would have inspected, how many properties we would have done due diligence. Like we buy properties as if we are buying for our own. So that is why I circled in the value own it, because we go and inspect properties anywhere, wherever we are buying, whether it is Harvey Bay or in Bundaberg or Townsville, we will be inspecting properties ourselves. We do not go there on our holiday trip and take video and post on Facebook saying that, hey, we bought this property for our clients 3 months ago, 6 months ago. No, we take video before the property is settled, before the property goes under contract. That is what you should do as well, right? When you are buying a property, you go and inspect. That is what we also do. Our mission is to have $150,000 of rental sustainable passive income. The sustainable is very key. I have to cover one more third part, so I'll go a little bit faster. Right, what are the pros and cons? As I told, I promised I'm not here to sell anything marketing or pitch any of my services much, but yeah, so I'm just skimming it through. Any questions, you can talk to me later. But I know you are here to know the high growth suburbs, so I will focus more on that. The part three of three, I'm talking about major towns growth hubs. Right, these are not yes, it is classified as regional towns, but they are major towns. I don't want to call this regional because Townsville, the total commitment is $20 billion. The whole of Tasmania, is less than $10 billion. Right? This is, we are talking about Townsville on its own. You're talking as a small city or town, right? That is defense. $7 billion committed in Townsville just for renewable energy projects, right? So no one is talking about these things. There is Olympics also coming in Townsville, right? There is 50%. What did I do? Okay, there is 50% increase in the population growth that is projected in Townsville. Right. So people think, oh, there is already property grown in Townsville. Yes, it is grown, but there is a lot more left because there is still investments coming. There is more population. There is more employment. Right. There is not enough supply for those things. Toowoomba, I cannot stress enough. It is 1 hour from where we are living. Major town, one of the three hospitals that is getting built is in Toowoomba. New stadium coming. Olympic football is happening in Toowoomba. Inland rail, healthcare, worker demand, huge construction. There is direct investment in Toowoomba. Last but not the least, Rockhampton, Bundaberg, Maryborough. Okay, right? So Rockhampton, there is a major, big list of major projects. If I start telling them, I'll take another 20 minutes, right? So there is 9,000 jobs in Rockhampton alone in the next 10 years. So imagine the population. Olympics is happening in Rockhampton. The rowing in Fitzroy River. No one knows Fitzroy River, but after Olympics, people will know, right? Rockhampton is where the Great Barrier Reef also starts, right? But people go to Cairns. But now after Olympics, people go to Rockhampton because, hey, rowing happened. I want to see where Fitzroy River is, right? So families, tourists will want to see. So that is what will this tourism or these things, this an event like Olympics will do to the city. Like Bundaberg is one again. Bundaberg, Toowoomba. Um, and there is one more hospital. So three hospitals happening. I can't remember the third one. Bundaberg is one of them. And Maryborough, last but not the least, Maryborough is very similar to Harvey Bay from a growth perspective. 500,000 we can buy properties, 10 to 13% year on year for the next 5 years. I'm almost at the end of the slide. When how we work, our process, right? So we understand what your goal is. It is not about discovery. Yes, discovery. Yes, we will understand, but I want to give an example. A client came to me. I did a seminar in Gold Coast 2-3 months ago, and I spoke about SMSF in detail. So this client came to me a couple of days later, and he wanted to have this call. So we were having a call. He said, Anand, I was very impressed with your SMSF thing. I want to invest in SMSF. So I asked him, sir, how much is your SMSF balance? He said, $4.7 million was his SMS. I said, sir, don't even think about setting up an SMSF. Just be happy with your balance because he was 57 years old. So that is the kind of advice we provide. It is not that, you've come to Anand, Anand will make to buy property. No, we want to provide honest advice. We want to create a structure for you. Of course, he didn't set up an SMSF based on my advice, but he's buying a property through us under his own name. So strategy, goal alignment is one of the major thing that we do. Of course, market research, I already spoke about the property inspections that we do, negotiation and all that. And see these two screenshots, you may not be able to see them, but what we do is basically if you come and tell me, Anand, I want to have $15 million in 10 years, and we will come up with a strategy with how you will reach to those $15 million in X number of years. Similarly, rent, if you say, Anand, I want $10,000 per month rental income, passive income, say in 10 years, right? So in 10 years, what do you need to do to get that $10,000 passive income, right? So this is an internal tool that we have, and based on that, we will provide advice, and that is what we do. Okay, so I am done with the seminar. So I am only 5 minutes late. So we still have 10 minutes of questions if you want to ask. Meantime, as I told you, we are buyer's agent, but we are not here to sell or anything. But if you want to avail my services, our fees is $14,000, but only for tonight's attendees, we are offering $9,500. It is a full buyer's agent service, including personalized strategy, and of course, it is a long term with us also. And this offer expires this weekend. So please speak to our team before you leave if you are looking for a property and want to avail our services. Okay. Thank you. We have got 9 minutes. If you want to ask questions, or Paris, is there is questions we can ask.
Hello, sir. Is it like, do we need to post the question in the chat, or we can ask directly?
You can ask now that I have finished talking, you can ask. So just ask, it will be easier.
Sure. Thank you, Anand, sir. Okay. So I have actually invested in Queensland almost like two and a half years ago. And I was just wondering, is it a good idea to buy in a similar area again, or to sell my existing property and buy? Because my intention is whether I have already ridden the major spike in the growth, and it's going to kind of constantly, plateau.
In the last 45 minutes, I've been screaming and telling you not to sell. And now you are asking me, can I sell property in Queensland? Please do not sell for many reasons, which I have already explained in the last 45 minutes, right? But to answer your first question, whether you want to buy another property, yes, buy, but you don't need to be in the same area. Like, look at other areas also. I don't know where your first property is, but
it's in Yarra Bilba, sir.
Yeah. Yarra Bilba, good, you invested. See, now you can go to the other side of the town, which is North Brisbane. We discussed, I discussed some of the areas in North Brisbane. You can invest there. Or if you want to go into major town hubs like Toowoomba, again, Toowoomba and Harvey Bay. Again, I cannot scream enough about Harvey Bay. Harvey Bay is definitely a no-brainer, low-risk investment. We can start buying there from 650, 700,000 onwards. Definitely, you can look at it. I didn't get your name.
Prasanna.
Prasanna, very good, Prasanna. So you can so look at those areas, Harvey Bay or Moreton Bay, especially in the north side of Brisbane. You can definitely look at buying. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Okay. We've got 6 more minutes. Any more questions?
Hi there, this is Rani. How are you?
Hi, Rani. Good.
Yeah, I just want to ask, knockdown rebuild in Salisbury just for selling purpose. What is your advice on that?
Yeah, see, knockdown build is definitely a good option. So look at the like, I don't know the property, like how big is the land or how much yield you're going to get. When you say knockdown build, does that mean it is just one a house you're rebuilding, or townhouses?
No, the land is about 629 square meters.
Okay, so how
with a
many
pool.
houses can you build there?
Yeah, there was a house which was burnt down and they're knocking it off, completely demolishing it. And the asking price for the land is about 1.2. And the
Okay.
house, what I got in my mind is about 650 through
Yeah.
Coral Homes. And
Okay.
then finish up and clean up the pool area so that it's a nice house with a swimming
Okay.
pool at the back.
So Salisbury, you said, right? So just to contact council and check whether you can build a couple of houses there, or is that for your investment, or you want to go and is it your owner occupier?
No, just want to sell it as a brand new home.
Okay, in that case, then you will have one house may not get the yield that you want. So if you see with the council whether you can build, say, 2 or 3 townhouses, that will be a better proposition than building one house. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But then I need to look for a bigger block of land.
No, that same block, just tomorrow, contact council, Brisbane City Council, say, give them the address, tell them I want to see whether I can build couple of townhouses or dual occupancy, ask them what the options are, and then based on that, you can make a decision. Just by building one house and selling, you may not make enough money, is what I think.
Because of the
Without
holding cost and then the capital gain
holding
tax, is it?
cost, yeah, of course, yes, and stamp duty, then holding cost, bill, yes. You probably will make 50 to 100,000. I don't know. Again, we'll have to do a detailed numbering for one house, but if you do 2, 3 houses, that will make more money, is what I'm thinking. Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Anand.
Okay, some questions. Is there a minimum amount to start with SMSF? No, but recommended is 150,000. If you have got 200,000, it will be good, Krishna Kumar.
Hi, Anand.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for all your insights and everything. Quick one, from Bundaberg area, is there any specific location you are recommending? Or is any suburb in any area in Bundaberg is suitable for the purchase currently?
Yeah, we have got specific suburbs that we are investing in Bundaberg. So if you want to have a separate session with me, that is where we will, in the screen that you are seeing, if you book a free strategy session, we will talk about the top 3 suburbs, and we will talk a bit more detail about those suburbs and strategy and everything. Yeah.
Okay, I do understand. I will make an appointment then, Anand.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you all. 2 more minutes. I think, Paras, do you need my help to answer any questions, or have you covered?
I think I haven't missed anything.
Okay. Very good.
Just going back in the chart.
Yeah, Krishna Kumar is asked, is Springfield still good to buy, or it has peaked? See, Springfield, it depends on the property, Krishna Kumar. Like, we recently bought one property in Springfield Lakes for 1.150, right? It's a 640 square meter block. It's a big house and all that. So depending on the property, like, don't go and buy a small dinky property, 250 to 80 square meter cottage, or 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and all that. If you buy a good property, like Springfield Lakes has got different locations, like Promenade is a premium location. There is the Summit area, so it depends on the location. It is good or bad. So yeah.
Anand bhai, question
Yes.
in last minute.
Yes, Hardik.
Okay, just a quick and last question. I'm thinking to buy a property, right? As you know, some area has been already grown like 20%, 30% in last like 3 years, 4 years, right? What is an thinking of buying the property in that area compared to who are the slow moving area?
Yeah, so I'm not, I don't know which is that area you're talking about, but see, focus on the fundamentals. That is what I was telling for the last 40 minutes, right? If there is good population growth expected, there is good infrastructure development, there is good schools and everything. everything, there is nothing wrong in buying still, even if there is 20-30% growth, right? Example, someone asked whether Springfield is a good suburb to buy. As it peaked, that same answer is what I want to give you, right? So if Springfield Lakes has got very good schools, has good transport, but it depend on the property type, right? Like we spoke about Rockhampton also has grown 20-30%, but there is another 4,000 jobs or 9,000 jobs coming there is a lot of infrastructure development happening. There's a new stadium getting, so even though it has grown 20-30%, there is a lot of growth still left. So you can certainly buy. Just because it has grown doesn't mean that it is not going to grow more. Okay, so I hope I have answered your question, Hardik.
Yeah. I think I leave that job with you, and we'll go for the next session. Thank you for your time and everything today.
Thanks, Hardik.
Anandji,
Thank you.
I know you're closing. Thank you. Can I ask you one last question?
Yes.
Like when you said SMSF, can we use, if you don't have a proper deposit, can we use the equity of a current property to buy an SMSF? Can we
No.
do that?
No.
Can't do that. Okay.
No.
You can
What we can do-
refinance the equity.
Sorry, but
I was just saying,
Sorry.
if you can refinance the equity, get
Okay.
access to the cash, and do some non-concessional contributions, that
great.
way you can build up your balance in SMSF and then invest in property under the SMSF.
So we need to do extra contributions, right?
Yeah. So there is concessional contribution as well as non-concessional contribution. So concessional contribution you can do up to $30,000 per annum. So up to $30,000 is 15% taxed. Non-concessional is you have already paid tax for it from your day-to-day income, from your income that you are contributing. So you can build up your super that way and then buy under SMSF.
Okay, thank you very much. So for strategy, I need to contact your office, right, for later sessions?
Yes. I didn't get your name.
Vijay.
Vijay. Thank you, Vijay. Thanks for attending.
Okay, thanks for your info.
Thank you all for attending, and we're going to end this webinar. I really appreciate everyone's time, and we will catch up again very soon. I'm happy to help you wherever possible. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.